Good. The Lord has answered our prayer. Let's quickly start for today. We'll be talking on action of wind in the desert, continuation from our last class. The last class, we said action of wind in the desert has to do with features that are produced in the desert. And we mentioned processes of wind erosion or processes that create landform in the desert. We mentioned attrition, abrasion, and what? And what? Deflection. Please check your previous notes for those that copied or screenshot. Now today, out of those features, we'll be talking on the first one, which has to do with deflection halo, where we stopped last week. Now this is a feature of deflection halo, where we stopped last week. We said it is formed in the desert and it is a process of wind deflection, where wind blows and then leaving an oasis in that desert. Now the oasis is an area where you can get water apart from the dry land. So that area where you can get water is known as deflection halo, because a hole was created when wind was blowing, thereby blowing away particles from their source to another area, creating a deep hole. That is how a deflection halo is formed. The next one we are going to look at is Ventifix. They are wind polished and facet or sharpened pieces of pebbles or stones which vary in size from large boulders to small stones. Such rock fragments which are too heavy to be moved. Now let me explain this instead of reading what we have. For a ventifix, they are sharp, polished stones. Now when you have cubes of sugar in your cup, and you pour them from one container to another, they tend to rub on each other. Now, as they are rubbing on each other, they are reducing their size and they are being polished. The same way when you have gravels inside a bucket and you decide to turn them over and over again, they become polished, they become neat. Some of them tend to have sharp edge. Now, this occurs in the desert when features try to roll on each other as they collide, or when they blast on each other, they tend to have a sharp facet area. Now, it is a feature of wind abrasion because it has to do with blasting. I remember when I was explaining rock pedestal in this class, I said smaller particles are being blown on larger particles, thereby changing the size of the original feature of the rock pedestal. The same thing happens to ventifix. When wind is blowing, it tends to sharpen these stones or polish them as they rub on each other, and they tend to have new facet development when wind direction okay. Now, when wind direction, when these particles of stones are facing wind direction, before you know it, they become polished and they become very beautiful. That is why you discover that some fine fragments of stones, as you are moving around, you see some fine fragments of stones on the ground. Some of them are beautiful, some of them are polished as they rub on each other. That is ventifix. Now we are going to look at the next slide, which has to do with a good example. Sorry, please, let me pause. Let me pause this. I said ventifix has to do with pebbles that tend to rub on each other as they collide. when wind is blowing. Just like having stones, gravels, when they are polished, the same thing happens in the desert. So when features are being polished and they tend to have sharp edge, these features are known as Ventifix. They may have more than one face. It means that the edge, the sharp edge may be more than one on a particular stone. Sometimes when you go close to the sea and you pick some stones, you see them looking very beautiful. The same thing is applicable to the ones that are found in the desert region. Now, a good example of where you can get Ventifix that tends to have three faces is in the Sahara Desert. And we also have the ones that tend to have one face in the German Desert. Now let's look at the next slide that we have. Please don't forget, we are only trying to explain features that are produced by either wind deflection, wind abrasion, and wind attrition. For the Ventifix, I said they are produced by wind abrasion, and some are also produced by wind abrasion because they rub on each other. Now look at the example of a Ventifix. You discover that this area tends to be a little bit sharp. Some of them, the stones become irregular, not looking smooth or round the same. Why? Because they have rubbed on each other. The next one we have is features of wind deposition. What do I mean by features of wind deposition? As wind blow, they tend to deposit some particles in a particular area, which means they move those particles from their original source or original location to another location. Now, there are depositional features in arid or mostly found in arid and semi-regions. I repeat, depositional features are mostly found in semi-arid region and in arid region. What are the kind of features that are found in those regions? We have dunes, which is also known as sand dunes. We also have Bakans, we have loess, and sieves. All of them are looking like a dune, but in different shape. And they are all features of wind deposition. Let's pick the first one, known as dunes. Dunes are hill or ridge of sand formed by the peeling up of sand into a hill shaped by the action of wind. Let me take that paragraph again. Dunes are hills or ridges of sand formed by the formed by the piling up of sand. It means that these sands are piled on each other as wind blow. When you say pile, to put one thing on top of the other continuously. Now, when these sands are piled up, they tend to build a feature looking like a hilltop. Now, this hill shaped by the action of wind, it is commonly seen in a circular shape. You mostly see them in a circular shape. Why? Because they are accumulation of what? Sand as wind blow. Those of you that watch desert film very well, let me take you back to the feature of Ventifix. Now look at this far desert area. You discover that you see some sand piling up on top of each other. Now when this continue, it becomes like a rounded hill. Are you getting me? It will become higher than the way it is. There will not be any hollow, no hole around there. That is how a dune is formed. So we call it sand dune. Now there may be active dunes, which is constantly on the move, or inactive. I repeat, these dunes may be active. What do we mean by they may be active? It means that when wind blows the soil again, it moves to another position and builds up another dune. When we say they are inactive. It means they are fixed in a particular position. When wind blows, the dunes cannot be cut down. They are already rooted with a vegetation, which means there might be a dry plant or a dry stick around that area. When these dunes accumulate on it, it becomes rooted. It cannot be moved from that position. Dunes are well represented in a true desert, where sea of sand is being continuously redeposited. What do I mean by redeposited? When they are deposited, after some time, wind will blow it away and then deposit it in another position. Why are they deposited or reshaped? It is because of their great contrast in shape, size, and alignment. What do we mean by great contrast? It means they can reduce and they can become bigger, either in shape, in size, or the way they are what? Arranged. They have been given a long list of names, such as we have alluvial dunes, we have head dunes, we have tile dunes, we have advanced dunes, we have lateral dunes, we have pyramidal dunes, we have sword dunes, we have parabolic dunes, etc. Why? Because of their alignment in size, in shape, and how they are represented in the desert. Now that we have known the names of so many dunes, we are going to look at the next feature known as Bakan. Now, what is a Bakan? These are crescent or moon-shaped sand dunes. Bakans are also a type of sand dunes, but they are in crescent or moon shape. You know how when we have, when we don't have full moon, you know what a crescent shape is? Just like form of a C like this. So Bakan appear in a crescent moon or moon shape. They may occur in groups or singly. That is, you can either find one in a particular place or you have more than one in a particular place in the desert. They tend to have horns which project from the crescent and thin out to become lower in the direction of the wind. Why do they have horns? They have horns because this deposition of sand is in the area where those materials are found. For example, if you have a notebook outside and sediments are deposited on that notebook, or if you have a stick outside and sediments are deposited on that stick, you should know that the sharp edge of that stick will still remain, but there will be deposition of sand on the stick. Now, if I have this key outside and there are deposition of sediments, if one of the key is standing up, you would see that sediments will cover all this one. It will still cover this key, but you will still see a shape of the key up. You might not know there is a key because it is covered with sediment, but you will see that a particular area projects more than the other areas. That is why we said they are majorly in crescent shape. Now, they are also known as desert landforms. Bakans are formed by the deposition of wind in the desert. It has a convex shape. Bakan has a convex shape on the windward side and a concave shape on the leeward side. When I say windward side, I mean the area where the wind is blowing from. But when I say leeward side, where the wind is not blowing from, and it tends to have a height between 15 to 30 meters long. Example of a Bakan, which is found in Sahara Desert, we have Chilean and we have Persian. Example of area where we can get Bakan is in Sahara Desert, Chilean and Persian Desert. Now let's look at this slide and look at the feature of a Bakan. Now look at this. This is a crescent shape, just like a moon. How did this shape develop? how did we come about this shape? Now, this shape happened because there was maybe a particular tree or a particular material that was found in the soil there. So as wind blow, they tend to deposit those material, this soil, on the material. Now, as they are being deposited on this material, they tend to have a shape known like a moon. Just like I explained, I said, if I have this key in a desert and one area projects at the top, sediments will be deposited on it. But the area that projects will still have soil on it, but changing the shape of this key. The same thing happens to this Bakan. Now, this is the wind direction where we have the windward side, and where this is the area where we have the leeward side. And I said it is between 15 to 30 meters long. Now, mode of formation of a Bakan, apart from what I just explained. Bakans are formed when an obstacle like rock impedes or prevents the movement of wind. When I was explaining earlier, I said Bakan developed due to a particular material that is found in that area. Now, from what we have in our slide, the major material that can change the shape of a Bakan after deposition of sediments is rock that have been sharpened, that have rubbed on each other, that tend to have sharp facet edges. Now, when this continues, a Bakan develops. Now, this obstacle may be rock, outcrop, a dead animal, or a patch of grasses, which lies in the path of the prevailing wind, which means if you have a rock, you have a crop, you have a dead animal on the ground in that area, you have a grass in that area, as the wind blows, it deposits sediments on it and creates a feature known as a Bakan. Uman, I want you to tell me what you understand from what I just explained now. What is a Bakan before I ask another person?
You said that a Bakan is like a crescent or moon-shaped sand dune that it can occur either in groups or singly.
On your
and
video, before I remove it from my class, everybody. Yes, dear.
And they have a convex shape, which are formed by wind deposition.
It's true. Now I'm trying to ask, how do I put it? What is the obstruction that will make a Bakan to develop in the desert? What are those things that you can likely see in a particular area when sediments are deposited on it to form a Bakan? Somebody should help me.
Like rock impedes.
We have rock.
Or a dead animal.
Or dead animal.
Or a patch of grass.
Very good. That's a good try. I will come back to the rest of you. Now let's check these other features. Sieves. Other features, we have sieves or longitudinal dunes. You know, we said they have so many names due to how they are produced. Now, sieve is a desert landform. The word sieve is an Arabic word meaning sword. I repeat, the word sieve is an Arabic word meaning sword because they are long. Anything that is longitudinal, you know the sword that Arabians use. Very good. Examples of these longitudinal dunes are, we have the Great Sand Sea of Egypt and Libya, found in Sahara Desert. We also have the ones that are found in Namib Desert. Western Australia, and Chad Desert, mostly the Arabian countries. Now, this is how it looked like. Just long in form of a sword. They are in different sizes, but it is their longitudinal section, the way they are formed, that is making us to call them, or making the Arabians to see it like a sword, because they tend to lie in the area of the prevailing wind direction. Look at the diagram of a sieve. A sieve is a dune formed by wind deposition, but it is different from other dunes because it has a longitudinal section just like a sword, but it is also a feature of wind deposition. Now, how is it formed? Sieve is formed during wind deposition. I've told you that as wind blow, they carry some particles and they deposit them. Now, they tend to lie parallel to the prevailing wind, which clear the corridors between dunes of sand and sweep them clean. It means that when you have deposition of sediment and wind tend to blow in between that deposition of sediment, it makes them look in form of a ridge. What do I mean by a ridge? When you are cultivating your soil, you see that you have ridges in between. True or false? Before you plant.
True.
Good.
True.
Now, when wind blows in the desert, you will see that it sweeps the middle, leaving deposition of particles side by side like a ridge. That is why we call it sieve, and it is a longitudinal section just like a sword. This sieve tends to stretch 100 kilometers and rise over to 60 meters. The next feature is leos. These are fine rock particles blown out of the desert by wind. I repeat, these are fine, beautiful rock particles blown out of the desert by wind. Leos is a fine loam, very fertile and porous sand. Some are blown into the sea, while some are blown to a distant land. Leos are also features of wind deposition, but the only difference between leos and other features we have explained is that they are blown away from the desert. Why? Because they are very, very fertile. And where are they blown to? They are blown majorly to the areas of sea, areas that can be cultivated for agriculture, or lands that can be used for agriculture. Now, good example of leos are the extensive leos deposit in northwestern China. Now, I want to tell you something. Do you know that the China area and the Asia, we call them agricultural monsoon area? Why do we call them agricultural monsoon area? Because their soil is very, 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 very fertile. Now, leos is one of the major features that has helped the soil in that area to be what? To be fertile. And where is it blown from? It is blown from desert region to areas that are close to the sea. That is why I said a good example of area where you can get leos. We have the northwestern China, which are blown there. We also have from the Gobi Desert and leos plateau of the Huang. Leos can be formed from fine particles. We have said that before. Fine particles of rock crushed under an ice sheet and later blown by the wind after ice sheets are melted. Now, economic importance of a leos. Economic importance of a leos. One, they are usually very fertile. They encourage agricultural development. They have caves which serve as houses. Yes, I think we have explained something like cave and caverns. Pastor, Answer this question. Pastor, are you hearing me? Pastor?
Yes. Yes, ma.
Now everybody in the class, answer me. I think I've explained something on cave and caverns for you.
Yes.
Karst region now. Action of waves. What did I say is a cave? What is a cave?
What is a cave?
Everybody talk now. Those of you that you are not on your video, I'm screenshotting it and I'm going to take my attendance. I will use it for your CA. If you like, don't on your video. I give you 2 minutes. I'm going to screen. You will see me screenshotting it. I'm going to use it for my CA. Now, yes, what did I say is? What did I say is a cave? I'm waiting for Sambo and Pastor. I'm waiting for you on your video now. Yes, what is cave?
A cave is a natural underground thing in a hillside or cliff.
Yes. If your face is not showing, it means you are not in my class. So just take notes. I will still take the pictures again after this question. Yes, Ashilere, you are right. A cave is a natural hideout or an opening that has been created underground. Now, elios, they tend to have caves which serve as houses. Houses for what kind of animals, class? Houses for what kind of animals?
Yes.
Like what?
Bears and bats.
Yes.
Yes.
Bears and bats.
Very good. Now they are fine loams, hence they are very rich in lime. Now I want us to recap what we have done. We have come to the end of the class. I would like us to mention features of wind deposition, features of wind abrasion, features of wind deflection. And everybody is going to participate. I have screenshot and I'm going to take note of those that are answering my question, because this class was a continuation from the previous class on action of wind deposition. Sorry, action of wind erosion in the desert. The first class I explained.
Ma.
Yes. Ask your question.
Ma.
Yes.
Can you send the note after?
You said?
Can you send the note after?
Yes, I think you have the last note, right?
I said, Ma, please, can you send the note after the class?
This very one. But do you have the last one?
But Ma, they not send us action.
The last class we had.
Yes, action of wind. Now they sent us action of wind, but they didn't send us action of running water.
Okay, don't worry. Let's try to do our assessment now. Now I'm going to be asking questions. Now from the last class, what was our topic? On your video, because this is the last one I'm going to take. On your video, on your camera. Yes? Ask me question. Danielle has asked her own. Peace, your camera is off.
Ma,
Yes.
if somebody studies one of the winds, what can the person become in future?
You said?
If somebody is studying action of the winds, what can the person become in future?
If somebody stand under action of wind,
If somebody things like action of winds,
are you saying if a human being stand under action of wind?
Might they study the subject of action of wind? If they study it.
Okay. If you can study features that are produced by wind, as in study the features, right?
yes.
And you're a geographer now. Now listen, as you advance in your studies, now we have different areas in geography. We have climatologists. Those ones, they study the climate. We have oceanography. Those ones, they study oceans. We have geologists. Those ones has to do with mining. We have urban and regional town planning. So many. So it depends on what you want to study. Now, studying a wind deposition is a different aspect on its own. Do you understand? Your own is to know it and to apply it to what you want to do. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
Yes, ma.
Now, another question before I snap the next class. Dania, your face is not here. Glory, peace.
Ma.
Salem, if your video is off, you are not in my class.
Ma, how is a cave formed?
You said, how is a cave formed?
Yes, ma'am.
Now, for a cave to be formed, there will be action of wind deflection. When you say wind deflection, it means that wind blows and blows away particular sediments, creating a hole. Another way again, rodents can create a hole underground. Another way again, ice blocks or ice caps can decide to melt in between, leaving a hole in between them. If you have ice in your freezer, that flat one from your freezer, and you bring it out, and you fetch water and pour in between the ice block, the square ice block, you will see that a hole will develop inside. True or false? Class?
True.
Now that opening is known as
ma'am.
what we call a cave, when they pile up on each other, leaving a hole that you can pass through or something can pass through. So it depends on which area you are trying to explain a cave. If you are relating it to action of wind in the desert, you relate it to sand dunes because they are features of wind deposition. If you are talking about cave in karst region, you relate it to ice packs. So it depends on what kind of cave you're explaining. Now, if you're also trying to explain caves where you can find rocks, where we have the Olumo rock, there's a cave there, there's a hole in between where people sit down, settle down, gist, do some festival and other things. So it depends on the area where you want to explain. Now you can also have an artificial cave, which means you are the one that creates that hole where you can pass through or sit. But there are natural caves. So we have come to the end of this class for today. I've taken my attendance. God bless you. And please, I would see how Mr. Jude will help us to send these notes I don't know what happened to the last note, but I'll see how he can help us to send this note. God bless you. Stay safe and take good care of yourself. Do you have any question?
Ma, we miss you.
Me, I'm missing you people already. I don't know what is happening to this our government, Jare. I know the Lord will preserve everybody in Jesus' name. So next class, we are going to write tests. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. It's a very simple test. You hear me? It's a very simple test. You said?
Underline.
Yes. You don't want online test?
No.
I will give you test though.
We want online, man.
Deborah.
We want underline test.
Deborah, you raised your hand. Deborah, you raised your hand. What is the question? Yes?
What is next?
We miss you.
Ashile, pray for us.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Father Lord, we thank you for the success of this class. We ask that everything that we have learned to stay with us. In Jesus' mighty name, I pray.